Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G, because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS Today podcast. I am your host, Mike Apatria, flying solo for this wonderful Wednesday. It's June 9th. We got one game to talk about. It'll be fairly quick. Little showdown slate. We have some Phoenix Suns facing the Denver Nuggets, some playoff action, some good things to jump into. But before we do anything, just a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor over at MyBookie. Head over to mybookie.ag and you will find the number one sportsbook out there. Hoop Ball's stamp of approval is all over them. And if you head over there, on your initial deposit, use that promo code HoopBall, HOOPBALL, and they will match your deposit on up to $1,000, 50%. So you put in $1,000, they will give you $500 to play with for free in any way, shape, or form that you choose to. Whether it's on their fully fledged casino platform, for their table games, blackjack, roulette, maybe it's their slot machines, or maybe you're just going to get some MLB, some parlay with some NBA playoff action tonight. However you'd like to do it, you can do it over at mybookie.ag. Pretty underwhelming card on our hands. Only one game, but still some good action to get to. We'll start off right at the top where we need to. Fairly quick podcast, guys. Again, apologize for getting out a little late. I put out a couple Twitter messages, and you kind of see me, you'll hear me say it on the podcast. Things are hectic behind the scenes for Mr. Apatria over here. A lot going on, big move, big transition. So again, keep those recommendations flying. I've been getting tons of them from our listeners, and I can't thank you enough. If we have any more recommendations, food spots, neighborhoods, you name it, entertainment, hiking trails, scenic things, anything out in Texas, I'll be moving right between the Fort Worth and Dallas area. Hit me with it.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.
We have Denver traveling to Phoenix for the injury report. Denver has yet to submit their injury report as of this morning. We'll probably get that right around the 1:30. We should get an updated one, the 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm recording this. It's about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the Suns, though, Abdul Nader has been ruled out. 220.5 game total. Phoenix is being favored by 6 points in this one. So there's a lot to like here. We're going to start off. We'll start off with the away team. We'll start off with the Nuggets. We're going to have to keep an eye on Michael Porter Jr. We do not have that injury report, but last we heard, he would be questionable coming into this game. He should be good to go. He was dealing with the lower back tightness. He still managed to play significant minutes in that last one, but obviously anytime something like a lower back injury and it's Michael Porter Jr., you're going to wince a little bit. That's the one thing that kind of derailed his college career and made him fall into the draft was back surgery, back issues. Nonetheless, I expect him to be good to go. Now, will I have shares of him? That's a different story. I don't think I will. And I had a couple shares of him in the last one, and you could tell it wasn't significant. But you could tell he was kind of like a little, not labored, but he was a little hobbled. I'm expecting a great game from him nonetheless. I just don't see myself being able to afford him because I'm going to go to some other options now. The big focus is going to be Nikola Jokic, the Joker, the MVP, which he was rightfully crowned last night. And yes, you need to play Jokic. You're probably going to struggle to get him into your captain spot. If you could get him in there and feel confident in there with the rest of your options, so be it. I don't fault you. But you're going to want between I guess you could say 5 big players in this game, that being Michael Porter Jr., DeAndre and Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Jokic. You're going to want 3 of these guys. And it's going to be tough to get 3 of them in there if you play Jokic at that captain spot. So I'll probably keep him in my player pool. Maybe I do one lineup where I throw him out there just to see what happens. Contrarian, I guess, hedging my bet. But for the most part, I'll be playing Jokic 100%, but he'll be in my regular spot, not my captain spot. And now, The other options when I'm looking over here on this Denver team are other guys. It's going to be the backcourt. I like looking at Monte Morris. I like looking at Campazzo. Both these guys, you know, they could be hit or miss. If I'm going to lean anywhere, I feel like this is the Campazzo type game. He's the guy I would prefer to play. Nonetheless, both these guys are excellent options. Morris coming in $800 cheaper. They're both just rock solid. You could go with either one of these guys. I'm probably going to have 3 Nuggets per lineup, 3 versus 3 Suns. And the 3 Nuggets I'd be looking at would be one of those guards, Jokic, and then I wouldn't even mind pairing it with little Aaron Gordon, who's been routinely putting up 30 DK point games over the last few days. And when you look at the price tags, very similar price tag to Bridges, and soup to nuts. Bridges, great player, great defender. I would just prefer the consistency of Aaron Gordon over Mikal Bridges for DFS purposes. So there you have it. Those are the Nuggets guys I will be playing. I will be looking towards. Don't think I need to go too crazy and go anywhere else. You know, I'm not going to be playing too much Torrey Craig. I know that he saw a few minutes in that last one. If you wanted to, contrarian sure allows you to get up there, but I wouldn't expect another 24 DK points in 17 minutes. It's a little out of the norm. He's not a very high point per minute type guy. Very PJ Tucker-esque, where he's on the floor for the dirty things and the defense that, frankly, just doesn't get us DFS stats, unfortunately. So it is what it is. But with that being said, we're going to try to get this to go to 10 minutes. This could be brutal. It's not very, it doesn't take too much time to break down one game. But we'll try. We'll try to drag it out a little bit. Maybe I'll get a little talking points at the end of this. We'll go to the Phoenix side of things. I'm going to go back to the well in the same place that I've been going. Chris Paul absolutely tore things up in that last game, and rightfully so. When you look at the guy, he's just been an absolute beast all season for the Suns team. But we were seeing minutes limitations when he found out and crept up that he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. He looks to be fine. The right shoulder injury does not seem to be bothering him enough because he played 36 minutes in that last one where they came out with a big win, and he did not disappoint, dropping a double-double, putting up 49 DK points. So he is one of the guys I will be looking at in my captain spot. And frankly, my captain spot's going to be filled by his son. It's either going to be Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton. I love both these guys. DeAndre Ayton's going to have to step up in this series. He's going to have to make Jokic work on defense and wear him down and do his best to try to just make him work. You're never going to shut Jokic down. You're never going to be able to just take him out of the game. But if you can make him work, make things tougher for him, make him have to work on defense, that way he has a little bit less energy on offense, that's the big key for him. So looking at DeAndre Ayton, the dude's been nothing short of consistent and kind of him and Trae Young, kind of getting rid of some of that bad rap that has been following them. And I don't know why necessarily when you're talking about young players. And I guess we were spoiled with Luka. You can't expect everyone just to overnight be a Luka Doncic. It doesn't work like that. It's very far and few in between. Some guys take a little bit more time. But Ayton came out and put up a double-double in that last one, 20 and 10, 35 DK points. Did not get a defensive number, which is, he's not a defensive powerhouse, but he's usually good for a block or a steal per game, if not one of each. With those, you'd be looking at more of a 40 DK point game. So sign me up for some DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. Either one of those in the captain spot. I think Chris Paul is probably a little safer, but if you wanted to go DeAndre Ayton to be a little more contrarian, wouldn't fault you there. I don't think I'll go back to that Mikal Bridges as well. He started. He played great. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely expect good things from him. But we got to differentiate a little bit in some way, shape, or form. And if I'm going to do so, it would probably be with the Jay Crowder angle at 5,400. Just a little cheaper. They have very similar profiles as far as their ceilings and floors. So you're not really missing much if you go to Jay Crowder, from Mikal Bridges to Jay Crowder. And it's a way to differentiate your lineup. So I'll take advantage of that. And I think I will do it with Mr. Jay Crowder. And if I needed as a dumpster dive bargain barrel, I guess I was going to combine those two. That would have been easier. Austin Rivers at 4K. Just another guy that we know is going to play consistent minutes. Don't mind him. Don't hate it. But if you need it, he's there for you. Just don't expect him to necessarily light the world on fire. And that's it, really, for the game breakdown. Those are the guys I keep in my player pool. Those are the guys I'm really targeting for this slate. Again, showdown slates, I generally don't go overboard. I usually limit my exposure, temper my expectations, do a couple single entries, things like that. I don't usually stab at the GPPs with multi-entry on these types of days. Probably won't even have the time to do so with everything going on right now, but I will make sure I get at least 2 lineups in, and then I'll probably play 1 contrarian lineup on top of that. But we can do some player tier. Why not? I mean, there's only one game, but we'll do a little player tier action. We'll start off at the top, the expensive player tier. It's obviously Jokic, but we'll just cross him off. Everybody knows that you're playing him, and I will go with Chris Paul, sitting at that price tag at 13.2 for my captain spot. And if I did not want to play him in my captain spot, 8.8 So he's $1,000 cheaper than Booker, and I think he could easily outperform Booker. And he's only $1,000 more expensive than Michael Porter Jr. And the consistency we get with Chris Paul, it's you can't match it. If he's playing big minutes, you could pretty much lock in 35 to 40 DK points, and the upside of 50 is always there for him. We're going to go to the mid-tier range, now the middle tier. I'll go back to the well. I'll go Jay Crowder at 5,400. He's that guy I just mentioned, mostly because of the contrarian, the minutes, everything else. I think a lot of people would rather go play Mikal Bridges, just a little sexier of a play. Nonetheless, I'm expecting big minutes from Jay Crowder, at least in the mid to low 30s. And he's a solid point per minute guy where he's usually turning in close to 0.9 DK points per minute, where you get 25 and 30. We'll take that. We'll ride that home. We'll ride it to the bank and be happy. We'll laugh all the way there. And if I needed a value play, which I don't feel comfortable about any of them really on this slate, but if I had to dumpster dive and if I had to go down there, it would, again, probably be Austin Rivers at 4K. Just one of the only guys down there at that level that I feel consistent and has a consistent role and I feel confident in. JaMychal Green is right there with him. He's probably a little bit more consistent, better point per minute producer than Rivers, but he's $800 more, and then you start to drift into that Jay Crowder territory. So I think I'll take a hard pass there. And that's it. That rounds out the one-game showdown slate. So quick hitter podcast. Only 10 minutes. Thank you guys for joining me, spending 10 minutes of your wonderful Wednesday with me. Middle of the week. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot going on, but you took the time to stop by, get some tidbits, get some info. And I thank you for that. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. Give me a follow. Shoot me some Twitter messages. Shoot me some DMs, whatever it may be. Ask for some help. I'll be there when I can. I'll help you. We'll get there. We'll get to the finish line together. And we'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Santino, most likely going solo. The weekday pods are going to be tough for me during the move. I'm still going to be on the weekends. If you're wondering, you'll hear me on Saturday and Sunday. Just a little easier to manage my schedule that way. And then once I'm down there in Texas, it will be every day again, baby. I'll be loading them up in a new home, hopefully with tons of AC. I'm sure they don't allow you to not have air conditioner in Texas. And we'll be winning some money again. So thank you guys for listening. Take care. We'll be back tomorrow.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.